We're rolling. I don't know, welcome. Today I want to share my personal experience with the Consolidation Program from the legendary Mike Mentzer. Well, hold on tight because we're going to take it up a notch by incorporating cluster sets, also known as rest pause sets. So get ready for an intense workout. Well, if you haven't heard of Mike Mentzer, he was a renowned bodybuilder in the 80s and a personal trainer in the 90s with a few thousand customers, and one of the pioneers of high intensity training. His approach focused on maximizing muscle growth through brief and intense workouts. The Consolidation Program is one of his signature methods that caught my attention and I just couldn't resist giving it a shot. So now what are cluster sets or rest pause sets? Well, imagine pushing your muscles to the limits, and just when you think you can't go any further, take a short break and then push it for a few more reps. Well, that's the basic ideas behind cluster sets. It's all about pushing your muscles to the brink of exhaustion and then finding the strength for a little bit more. With the Consolidation Program, the goal is to stimulate your muscles to grow while minimizing the risk of overtraining. The program revolves around performing only one exercise per body part once a week. I'm going to train every 4 to 5 days at this moment. Yeah, you hear this right. I train only once every 4 to 5 days. It might sound crazy to some, but trust me, it seems to work. So I decided to incorporate cluster sets into the program because I wanted to challenge myself even more and see if I could take my training to the next level. So with my determination and my burning desire to push my limits, I just tried it on this muscle building journey. To begin, I selected, Mike did it in 1996. He selected a few compound exercises that targeted the major muscle groups. So for example, focus for the chest is the dips or a chest press, of course. Squats for legs or the leg press, overhead press for shoulders, and so on and so on. The key is to choose exercises that engage multiple muscle groups, so allowing for maximum efficiency. During my workout, I would perform the first set of each exercise with a weight that allowed me to complete around 4 to 6 repetitions with good form. I would do only 4 repetitions, not the 6, so only the 4. And then I take 10 seconds break, so 10 seconds rest pause, just enough to catch my breath and mentally prepare for the next round. And I would repeat this process for a total of 3 sets for upper body and 4 to 5 sets for lower body. And I'm aiming to maintain the same number of reps throughout. Only with the last set, the last cluster set, I go as far as I can. If it's only 1 repetition or 2, I would do only 1 or 2. If I could do 6 or 7, I would do 6 or 7. Just go to failure. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Consolidation Program together with the cluster sets is tough. It pushes you to your limits, both physically and mentally. But that's exactly what I love about it. Each set feels like a mini battle where you fight against fatigue and your own doubts. And when you conquer those doubts and push through, the feeling of accomplishment is really exhilarating. But let's not forget about the recovery, which is the most important. With such intense workouts, proper rest and nutrition becomes crucial. So I make sure to give my body enough time to recover between the sessions. I pay close attention to my nutrition, ensuring I fuel my body with the right balance of macronutrients and provide it with plenty of restful sleep. So after a few weeks of following this Consolidation Program with cluster sets, I started to notice some remarkable changes. My muscles felt denser and more sculpted, my strength increased significantly, and I could lift heavier weights or use heavier resistance bands than ever before. And the best part, I didn't spend hours in the gym every day, which gave me more time to focus on other aspects of my life, like family, going outdoors, reading a book, focusing more on my YouTube channel, giving you all this great information. Well, however, it's important to note that this program might not be suitable for everybody. It requires a solid foundation of strength and proper form to avoid injuries. So if you're new to lifting or have any underlying health concerns, I highly recommend consulting with a qualified fitness professional before giving it a try, or even giving any other program from Mike Mentzer a try, because it's pretty hard on your body. So in conclusion, my ventures into the Consolidation Program with cluster sets was and is still intense and rewarding experience. Pushes me to my limits, tested my mental fortitude, and it really delivered impressive results. It's an approach that challenges the conventional methods of training and proves that sometimes less really can be more. So if you're up to a challenge and want to take your workouts to the new heights, so why not give the Consolidation Program with the cluster sets a try? Why not? What do you have to lose? And now I'll let Mike explain to you what the Consolidation Program is all about, what it's based on. And at the end you're going to see two workouts of mine, workout A and workout B of the Consolidation Program, and you see me working out. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and have fun.
You might write this down. I'm going to elaborate on this next crucial point for a few minutes. Then we're going to go into an actual outline of a real training program. This is the last crucial point. Most bodybuilders today do not understand that the big picture is comprised essentially of two elements of equal value. I emphasize the word equal. By equal value, I mean literally 50-50, not 60-40, not 70-30, but 50-50. The first element, the first 50% of the big picture, obviously, yes, of course, is the actual workout. Who would deny that? But just as important, the other 50%, not one iota less important than the actual workout, is the rest period between sets. And here's why. The workout, you must understand, does not actually produce. The word is produce. The workout does not produce muscular growth. Remember, the workout is merely what? A stimulus. It stimulates what? The body's growth mechanism into motion. It is the body itself that produces the growth, but only if you leave the body undisturbed by further exercise during a sufficient rest period. Or you could say it simply, in other words, if you don't rest enough, you don't grow enough, if at all. Now here's the crux of the problem. How does anybody know with reasonable certainty that enough time is elapsing, in fact, between workouts? The answer is to be found in the following. Immediately upon the workout, you don't feel the same as you did before the workout, do you? You're tired, exhausted. There's a deficit. In addition, just don't throw it at me. In addition to the personal experience of feeling fatigued, you have also exhausted, in the technical sense, a considerable portion of your body's resources or recovery ability, which were used to fuel the workout. Recall from earlier that the extent to which you work out or do a number of sets, you make what's called a what? An inroad. A key concept in exercise science. You make an inroad. You dig a hole into your recovery ability. The first thing your body must do after the workout is not grow, but what? Recover. Fill the hole. Overcome the inroad, the deficit. Or as Arthur Jones used to like to say very eloquently, compensate for the exhaustive effects of the workout. Put back what was used up. Put back what was there before the workout. And here's the important point related to that. The process of recovery, overcoming the inroad, filling the hole, is not completed zippo in 5 minutes after the workout. In fact, the completion of the recovery process the completion of the recovery process itself may take several days, a week, or longer, depending on the individual and his age, existing condition, the training stress, his nutritive equilibrium. It can take the body several days or longer to complete the recovery process before the body even has a chance to start building the mountain on top, which is overcompensating building the muscle. And if you train again before the recovery process is completed, you will short-circuit the growth production process shy of 100 possible units. That's correct. The recovery process alone may take several days to be completed. And here's the proof. Every bodybuilder in here of any experience has had the experience of performing a tremendous leg workout, let's say on a Friday afternoon after work. And then after resting all weekend, you wake up on Monday and you're still generally fatigued. Your legs may feel more or less recovered, but you still experience a sense of generalized or systemic fatigue. You know what I mean? One of the chief sources of confusion on the issue of frequency, this is very important, one of the chief sources of confusion on the issue of frequency is due to bodybuilders not realizing that exercise, in addition to having a localized effect on the muscle you're working, also has a systemic effect. A systemic effect. One must rest long enough between workouts to allow for localized muscle recovery, like the legs or the arms, which again takes place actually rather quickly. But also you must allow enough time between workouts to allow for systemic recovery, which takes considerably longer. In fact, a good friend of mine, one of the guys who for my website, a very brilliant fellow named Dave Stapleton, who some of you may know, said one of the most intelligent things in this regard I ever heard. He said, Mike, we should not be prescribing rigid formulas for frequency. Each client should base his training frequency from his own progress chart. Let's say one workout you go up phenomenally, 55 pounds on the deadlift. Obviously there was a much greater stress on the body. Instead of waiting 7 days, maybe wait 10 days to allow for the greater recovery necessity. If you now recognize that the rest period between workouts is just as important as the actual workout itself, if you accept that premise, that the rest period is just as important, and I assume most of you here do you see where it stands to reason that there must be a perfect or optimum number of days of rest between sets? Just like number of sets to do. There has to be a perfect frequency, a perfect or optimum number of days of rest between sets. I and many other high-intensity trainers have learned through enormous experience that for the vast majority, training once every 5 to 7 to 10 or even less frequently is literally almost magic compared to any other protocol. It is always a mistake to train 2 days in a row, because 2 days in a row or 24 hours between workouts is not sufficient to allow for either full recovery or growth production. And no, absolutely not. Decompensation does not take place. Decompensation you know the term decompensation? We used to use the word atrophy or muscle loss, strength loss. Does not occur after 96 hours of no training. A number of years ago, I asked numerous bodybuilders, including some of the top ones like Dorian Yates, I said to them, hey, have you ever noticed that after a layoff of a week or even 2 or even longer sometimes, that you always come back stronger? And they all responded in effect, you know, Mike, it's kind of odd that you bring that up, but you know, now, yes, that you're making it a point, I always have the same experience. After a week or 2 or even longer off, I come back stronger. Well, if these individuals, if you come back stronger after a layoff, you didn't decompensate. You're stronger. You did the opposite. You overcompensated. So the point here is this. Do not worry. You will not decompensate after 1 to 2 weeks. So therefore, you're not going to decompensate after 4 days. Okay? That's really all I have to say on the issue of frequency. A few words to conclude this theoretical material, then I'll give you an actual training program to at least consider trying. What you have just heard, ladies and gentlemen, was not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the subject of exercise science. More important, of greater practical necessity, is that what I just gave you provides a broad general discussion of the fundamentals. Again, the term fundamentals of bodybuilding science, an understanding of which is an absolute requirement for those seeking to lose their confusion and gain a logical perspective on the subject of productive bodybuilding exercise. If you do not fully understand all the issues you heard today, then check your notes. Reread them and reread them and reread them, as somebody once said to me, and I know why he emphasized that. Some people think if they read a particular subject and they don't get it on the first reading, you're somehow mentally lacking. That's not true. Even brilliant geniuses have to reread and reread and reread books over and over until they get it. Where concepts are new, don't be afraid. Consult your best friend, the dictionary, and spiral with them. By that I mean connect these new ideas to other related ideas and experiences you have in your subconscious. Before long, you'll have a firm, thorough understanding such that you'll be able to move ahead as a rational, principled, logical bodybuilder and finally achieve the results you always believed impossible, but that you now know to be possible. The following is a concretization. The word is concretization. Everything you just heard was abstract theoretical material. Now we're going to bring all that abstract stuff down to the concrete, the in reality. The following is the ultimate consequence and final practical application of the abstract theory just described. It is a training program, a modified, improved version of the Consolidation Program listed in my book, Heavy Duty 2, Mind and Body. Many of you who have that book are keenly aware of the Consolidation Program suggested routine 2. What I'm about to outline for you is a new, improved version of the Consolidation Program. Before I outline the program, however, I'd like to give you a good idea as to what you might realistically expect in the way of progress. I'll recount the success stories of 2 of my local clients in Marina del Rey, California. The first is a very nice young fella named Andrew Tucker, who has a special visa to live in the U.S. from England. Andrew is an extremely intelligent young man who, at the age of 22, is literally one of the handful of individuals in the world with considerable knowledge doing computer-generated animatography like they did in Jurassic Park. Just a little background material on Andrew. Andrew approached me some time ago complaining of being painfully thin, weighing only 163 pounds at 6 feet. I didn't think he was all that thin, but it did give him some psychological problems. With the program that I'm going to list for you today, where he did only 2 sets per workout once a week, Andrew is now up from 163 pounds to 210. And within 4.5 months. And his deadlift went from 170 to 380 in the same period. Not long after Andrew signed with me, another young fellow, John Kulikoff, one of my favorite clients, approached me also complaining of being painfully thin, which in this case he really was painfully thin. In fact, before his first workout, John and I sat down together alone to the side, where he confided in me that for his entire life he suffered enormous psychological complexes being so thin. He had tried every type of program, the Weider program with Metrex and the Cybex program with Weeder's he tried everything you can imagine. Couldn't gain any muscle. He came to me and said, Mike, you're my last resort. He was so thick, the type of guy you used to joke about in the locker room, you know, I hate to see this guy stand over the shower drain, we might lose him. He really was very thin. Within 3 months, using the program I'm going to list for you today, John went from 147 pounds at 6'1", until now he weighs just shy of 175, with his deadlift going from 165 to 345, and he's well on his way to his ultimate goal of 200 pounds. He will never again suffer the problems associated with being terribly thin and only training once every 7 days for the past 3.5 months. Now, make no mistake, what I just explained to you, these gains are not otherworldly. They represent the norm that to be expected when utilizing a properly conducted high-intensity training program. Of course, not every one of you in here will gain that well, although many will. Some of you will gain even more, with the genetically bereft, perhaps not doing quite so well. For those of you who find stories such as these inspirational, you might check out my website at www.mikementzer.com. A number of these success stories have with them the phone numbers of the individuals listed so you can call them and check for authenticity. None of this is lies. If you know nothing about high-intensity training and you hear it's possible to gain 25 pounds in 3 months and almost double your deadlift, it may sound impossible, but it's because you're ignorant at this point. But you don't have to remain ignorant. The following routine, the program you're here listed, is, at least from one perspective, the literal perfect bodybuilding program. If you keep in mind this one thing, that the ideal situation is to be able to stimulate all of the major muscles of the body with the least amount of exercise possible, which is one set. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do but one set. Let me explain. Bearing in mind all the while that, as I stated earlier, a volume, number of sets, is a negative factor, period. Keep that in mind as you hear this. You will perform 2 different workouts referred to as Workout A and Workout B.
you.